Welcome everybody. So glad you're here. We're looking forward to, in a very short time, introducing you to one of the most new and different and exciting croquet games you have ever experienced. I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised and max challenged. So just glad you're all here and anxious to get out there and compete. We see perfectly nice people turn into, well, never mind, but it's going to be quite a time out there. So this is Survivor Croquet, and it's all about getting there. We've been together here a little while. You've learned some things about regular croquet. You've familiarized yourself with the rules. And now you're going to be introduced to something the likes of which you've not experienced before. The other 9-wicket backyard game that you've played has been somewhat relaxing, and that's great and fun, and relaxing will certainly not be a part of what you're about to embark upon here. So it is all about getting there. So I would say at this point, it's time to put away the teapot and the teacups and the lemonade and the sunbonnets and the Bermuda shorts. I think you'd be better served with your favorite high-energy sports drink, probably a helmet and some camouflage fatigues, maybe combat boots or something like that. But this is all out there. This is something very new, very different, very exciting, and very fast-moving. It's all about thinking and acting and focusing and staying cool under pressure. It's fast, furious, fun, and ferocity. So these review session points are going to help a little, but you got to figure the rest out for yourself, and you got to figure out how to get there. So before we move ahead, we're going to talk about the team yell. Now, this is a surprise to many of you, but as soon as we're done here, you need to go off in a corner and you need to decide upon what is your team yell. We want to hear you yelling it, and yell it in unison. It is the spirit of your team being expressed. So whatever that yell is, be ready, because at some point you're going to have to use it and use it well. So what's going to happen is when you get to the courts, you want to make sure you sign in and check your court assignment on the leaderboard. We're going to do a final rules review in case you need that 30 minutes before your matches start. In all the subsequent games, make sure you're there 10 to 15 minutes early. We're going to review a couple of things from the 9-wicket game here. The first thing is a sportsmanship code in croquet, and that's about calling your own faults honestly. The referees are there. Technically, they should never need to be there in croquet, but we've got a lot of people playing under a lot of pressure and for a pretty significant prize. So referees will certainly be helping us out. The referees are there primarily to provide rulings for challenges or disputes, to watch shots, to make sure that they're done right, correctly, and if indeed one may end up in a questionable situation, and they're there to provide a ruling if necessary. They are there, of course, to call cheating or unsporting practices and your faults. So I find mostly they're very cordial people, but they can be tough. Remember that the referee's ruling applies. Challenges and disputes must be made before the next player's turn. So if you're going to dispute something, call it then or forever hold your peace. The referee may appeal to the tournament director, but remember that from the moment you call, the clock does not stop. It keeps going. Game stops while you're disputing this, so it may keep you or your opponent from scoring. Be wise. So what's the object of this game? So you've played this nice little croquet game where you've made the circuit around the court, ending where you started. But the object here is to be the first team to complete the course in the direction and order shown. You're heading for the opposite stake, over there. Those folks playing from that end are heading for your stake where you started. Each team member scoring all 8 wicket or stake points for a team total of 48 to win. In time play, the team scoring the most points in the allotted time wins. Make sure you know the 9-wicket rules going in. Keep your little rule sheet in your pocket. Don't know if you'll have time, but you can certainly review the 9-wicket game overview presentation. The order of play is important here. Don't forget you're playing on teams of 6. And each of you will have one of the colored balls. The team on one side of the court will be stripes. The other side will be solids. You will play in the order on the stake as before: blue, red, black, yellow, green, and orange. First part of the game is playing with your team, assisting each other only, and moving ahead using every advantage and bonus shot and situation to move ahead and get there. I want to remind you that when you're taking your turns, the turn order on your team has nothing to do with the turn order on the other team. You are taking your shots as quickly as you possibly can, one after another, taking advantage of every bonus shot, every point, everything that you can. Go ahead and progress quickly. Take a look at this court, and essentially, given what you already know, this is going to be a half-court game. You're only going to the opposite stake. You're not completing the circle. The problems arise when the other team is coming against you, and they're trying to get your stake. And there's that pesky wicket in the middle. Again, one team is stripes, the other solids. And everyone's got to go through that center wicket in the opposite direction. Your team is playing to get to the opposite stake. You win by being the first team to stake out there. All team members must hit the opposite stake after completing the course in the direction and order shown. And we're going to go through how this looks again. It's pretty much the same way you played in the regular croquet game. You start midway between the first post and the first wicket, and you come out through wicket number 1 and number 2, which are your gate wickets. You head to the right to number 3. You clear 3 and go to 4, which is back in the middle. Right again to number 5. And then back to the end gate to number 6 and 7. Point number 8 is scored when you strike the finishing stake. Again, it's all simple until you encounter that opposing team coming the other way in what we call the clash zone. I guess we could call it a battlefield. Begin to approach the other team. One of you is going to be the first person to make contact with that other team. You as striker, if you're the first one to do that on your team, at that point you're going to want to shout at the top of your lungs, "Contact!" Really yell it out there. This signals to all that the battle has been joined. Warning, chaos and pandemonium ahead. You got to figure it out. Do you send the enemy ball? Do you take the time to do that? Do you keep going? What does it mean to get there? Call an opponent's fault when the clock is running. Think about that. What does that mean? But remember now the turn order rules. Your turn order and your team, turn order and the other team have nothing to do with each other. But here's an example. We'll call this the escape clause. Let's say that the striped striker roquets a solid ball. That's on the opposing team, intending to send it or otherwise use and abuse it. If the solid ball's turn comes before the striped striker can use the solid's ball, solid may just take their turn and simply move on, oblivious to the striped striker's intent. The striped striker still gets their 2 shots, but without benefit of damaging the solid ball. So do you get it? If your ball is hit by an opponent, but it just happens to be your turn coming up, you can hit away. You're not required to stick around and again be used and abused by the ball that struck you. Getting down to the end, this is where the yell comes into play. One team is going to be the one who staked out. They are going to be the winner of that game. As soon as the last player on a team hits that ending stake, and not 1 second before, then that's when you give the heartiest team yell that you possibly can. That signals that your team has won and completed the course. May not give that yell 1 instant before that last ball has struck the post. In other words, we want to hear the sound of that ball hitting the post and then your yell. All action on your court stops at that instant and the game is over. The winning team may not yell 1 instant before the sound of their last teammate's ball striking the post. A penalty will be called, possibly costing them the win. If the other team hits a ball 1 instant after the yell is given, the shot does not count. If time is called before either team has staked out, the team with the most points wins the game. At that point, fill out your scorecards, clear the courts, return the balls to their correct places at opposite ends of the field. Make sure those cards are signed by all players. They must be signed by all players from each game to be valid. All teams will play 2 elimination games. Top scoring teams will progress to the finals. Scores will be determined based upon these factors: win and loss, net points, and total points. If there's a tiebreaker required, that will be specified by the tournament director. Everybody needs to know the rules so you can move fast, quickly. You've got to get there. The normal finals progression is this. We will pick the final Sweet 16 teams. We'll compete the next level, called the Crazy 8, down to the Final 4, at which point we play the team championship, and then the dreaded Survivor round. Summing up, this is going to be an experience with croquet like you've never had before. It's going to be fast and furious, so get ready. It is all about poise under pressure and staying on target, not getting distracted, and fun as you can possibly have in a short amount of time. After I'm done here, to stop and ask questions. If we can help you in some way, happy to do that. Hope you're all ready to partake of this adventure. We thank you again for being here. Can't wait to see you on the court. Thank you.